welcome today to today's video. This video is about a book called Problem Solving 101. First, wish you a wonderful day. Hopefully you guys are having a blast, because today it's going to be also an interesting topic to discuss about how we solve problems. So obviously this book isn't new, right? This book was published in 2009 by an author called Watanabe. So you may have already read it, and if you did, great, you're one step ahead. But let me tell you something intriguing about this book. This book was indeed written for school children. Yes, you heard me, school children. But because we're all children of life, right? When this book was published, in less than 6 months, more than 370,000 copies were sold. Why? Because this book is not really written for school children. This book put an emphasis on critical thinking, and it presents adaptive techniques to tackle a problem, whatever problem we're facing. And more importantly, this book also guides people to solving problems with a simple 4-step approach that we'll discuss shortly. So, when we're faced with a problem, we have two options. We either run away from it, don't do that, or we do our best to resolve it. Obviously, this book is all about the latter, right? Finding solution to a problem. But before diving into how we solve a problem, the author takes a different approach. He first emphasizes the importance of attitude. Attitude indeed influences our ability to solve problems. Being a problem solver isn't just an ability, it's actually a mindset, one that drives people to bring the best in themselves and to shape the world in a positive way. So this introduction was a little fluffy, I agree, but when we must tackle a problem, to the basic, but we have a start. This is where we are today. This is a challenge we have, and a target or a goal to attain. It's finding the solution. It's simple, right? So, how does our attitude affect our ability to achieve this goal? Well, the author is taking an example and present 5 different personalities that we're going to discuss briefly. First, we have the side. People who tell themselves, I'll never be able to do that, or I'm not just talented. I'm not going to even try, because what if I fail? Everybody's going to make fun of me, right? So obviously with such attitude, people will not going to be able to obtain the target. Then we have the one who love to quit. People who always bring a little bit of negativity into the team. People who have no offering of tangible solution. I'm sure you know a few of them, but they are usually the one telling you something like, you know what, that won't work. Solution you're thinking is completely stupid. Long story short, they don't provide much help toward resolving this problem. On the other hand, we have the dreamers, people who are unable to transition from idea to solution. Ask them to help with the nitty-gritty, and they will just tell you, don't bother me, because they are idea people. They have a dream, but they don't really know how to execute that dream. Alright, then we have the go-getter, folks that know for a fact they will overcome the challenge. They want to move full speed ahead interaction, but unfortunately they don't see the value of thinking ahead. And so for them, thinking is just a waste of time. Everything is about execution. Execution, execution, execution. And just by moving one direction, then the other one, depending on where they are, they will attain a target. This is great, but at what price? And finally, you have the problem-solving kids. They will get the job done, but they will also ask the right question. What really caused this? How did this work out? What went wrong? And on top of that, they were also going to try to set intermediary steps to achieve the goal. We're going to accomplish this in 3 months. We're going to need to do X, Y, or Z, and then we reassess to see where we are. Long story short, the problem-solving kids have a well-balanced attitude. They have a little bit of the side, the critic, the dreamer, and the go-getter, and they use logical methodology to solve the problems. And guess what? This is what we're going to talk about next. So, we have the problem-solving kids. People with the right attitude, the right blend of attitude. But how do they manage to solve the problem? Well, according to the author, they follow a simple 4-step process. First, they understand the current situation. Second, they identify the root cause of the problem. And the better they get at understanding the symptoms and identifying the root cause, the better they will get at developing effective solutions. And so, third, they develop an effective action plan. And last, they execute their plan and adjust it until the problem is solved. Sounds simple, right? But think about it. Remember the last time you actually solved a problem. And I'm sure you realize one thing. You too follow these steps. Understand, identify the root cause, develop an action plan, and execute, iteratively adjusting the progress made so that the goal can be attained. Obviously, before you can solve anything, you must acknowledge there is a problem. And once you do, then you can engage in these 4 basic steps to resolve it. Now, let's talk about tools and techniques that can be leveraged in each of these steps. First, to diagnose the situation and identify the actual root cause of the problem, you first need to ask the right questions. And as you think about the problem, break it down into categories using a logical or yes, no tree. These 2 tools will help you list and form hypotheses on the actual root cause and determine the information you will need to test this hypothesis. But let's look at a logical tree example considering the following problem. How can you reduce the overall latency of a web page? Can you reduce the total page load? Is the call flow between the front end and the back end services optimized? Or maybe there is a problem with your infrastructure that is not optimized for the observed traffic. And then for each question, you can break it down further, diving into each area that could help resolve the problem. For example, you may want to verify that your content is optimized for online viewing. Maybe the images you use aren't compressed or have unnecessary high resolution. Maybe your page is too dense and you could split the content into separate pages. Or maybe you didn't design the page with an above-the-fold content in mind that could help you consider lazy loading techniques. And you do that for each question until you have sufficient information to test if tackling a particular hypothesis could help resolve the initial problem. And this leads us to another tool. The second tool is a problem-solving design plan. This tool helps you clarify the issue you are trying to solve, state your current hypothesis and rationale, and list the analysis, action, and information required to prove or disprove this hypothesis. It looks like a table like this one. For instance, going back to our example, one possible root cause could be that the backend API used by the user interface is too slow, because this API wasn't initially developed for synchronous call. And so, to determine if this API is the root cause of the problem, you can profile the API using tools like IntelliJ to determine which enhancement could help to reduce the latency of this API. And we can use the same tool to validate if this enhancement, once implemented obviously, do resolve the observed initial problem. Anyway, the outcome and the main goal of this design plan is to develop a wide variety of solutions to solve the problem, solutions that you can then bring forward to the next step. Developing an effective action plan. The first step is to select the best possible solution to resolve the problem. And this means that evaluating our hypotheses and weighing the pros and cons of each solution, and aligning on a set of criteria to evaluate each solution. Thus, author present a few tools for that. The hypothesis pyramid to structure and clarify the conclusion and rationale before diving into data collection and evidence. For example, we have to communicate why enhancing the backend API is the right solution to resolve the observed page latency. The second tool is a scatter graph that can help identify the impact and ease of implementation of a particular solution. And yes, it implies that you did evaluate each alternative solution against well-defined evaluation criteria, such as the technical complexity and the impact, toward providing a sustainable solution to resolve the problem. And finally, once you have selected a solution to implement, the next step is to build a plan to turn the solution into reality. And how to build a plan? Very simple. It's about breaking down a big dream into smaller goals. And in Problem Solving 101, Ken Watanabe described the steps to figure out how to achieve a dream. First, set a clear goal. Be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. 2. Determine the gap between the goal and the current situation. 3. Form a hypothesis about how to close the gap and achieve the goal. List as many options and ideas as possible. Select the best possible ideas as the hypothesis. Here you can again reuse the same tool we just discussed. Fourth, we then check the hypothesis. We analyze and develop the desired step-by-step action plan. And obviously, please go back to the previous step if the hypothesis is disproved along the way. But as we all know, any plan without execution is futile. So let's move on to the next step, which is execution. Here we are, the most critical step of all, execution. And as the author said, impact equals plan effectiveness, power, quality of execution. Executing is about making sure we're implementing the right solution. And as progress is made, we must monitor where we are and be ready to pivot and revise our plan as necessary to ensure we attain the desired goal. And to do that, the author discussed how to leverage the pros and cons criteria and evaluation matrix to drive toward the right solution and ensure, as you proceed with implementing that solution, that it remains the best possible solution to resolve the problem at hand. And lastly, the author explained that the plan is never perfect and set in stone. This means that being able to constantly evaluate your progress and recognize when the plan doesn't work, that you must pivot the plan. Challenge your thinking, look for other solutions you may have overlooked initially. Long story short, while the author doesn't state it in these terms, being agile is key to attain our goals. To conclude, this book is just providing a basic and solid framework to problem solving, presenting a set of tools to help in the process. Of course, everyone has their preferred way to solving problems, but we can always integrate new techniques and tools into our practices so that we can identify faster the actual root cause we are trying to solve and implement the most effective solution to resolve them. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.